The Reckoning of Rosewood Lane. The wildflower meadow behind our house had been silent for months, ever since Sarah passed. The bees no longer hummed, and the air felt heavy with absence. Every morning, I'd wake hoping to hear her soft footsteps or smell her coffee brewing, but all I found was emptiness. My daughter, Lily, only 8, hadn't spoken much since the funeral. She used to chase butterflies, naming each one. Now, she kept the curtains drawn, her world as dim as mine. But that morning, something shifted. I was fixing a fence post when I heard it louder, pure and bright, rising from Lily's throat. I dropped my wrench and ran. There she was, in her yellow sundress, arms wide, chasing butterflies through the tall grass. Her brown curls bounced, and her eyes sparkled with life for the first time in months. I stood frozen on the porch, gripping the railing, watching the last piece of Sarah come alive. Then came a voice, sharp and cold, slicing through the air. "Excuse me, you there?" That's when I knew trouble had walked into my field, and it was about to learn what grief does when it's cornered. Margaret Hensley stormed across my land like she owned it, her high heels sinking into the dirt, her navy blazer pristine despite the summer heat. Her lips curled into a sneer, and behind her, a nervous man with a clipboard scribbled furiously. I didn't know her name yet, didn't know she'd call Lily an unregistered minor or threaten to take her away. All I knew was the fire in my chest as she glared at my daughter, not as a child but as a problem to be erased. "This is Rosewood HOA territory," she snapped. "Your child is violating Ordinance 62C. Unregistered minors are forbidden within 300 feet of the community line." Lily froze, clutching my leg, her joy snuffed out. I stepped forward, voice steady. "Ma'am, this is private property. My family's owned it for 3 generations. You're trespassing." She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Ignorance isn't an excuse, Mr. Callahan. Your wife signed the regional land agreement. Your property falls under our rules." She thrust a folder at her assistant, who flinched. "I'm Margaret Hensley, chairwoman of Rosewood Homeowners Association," she declared, as if it gave her dominion over us. I clenched my jaw. "Remove the child," she hissed. "Now." Then it happened. She stepped past me, reached down, and slapped Lily across the face. The crack echoed in my chest. Lily stumbled, fell, and hit a stone, blood welling above her brow. Time stopped. My heart didn't beat. My breath didn't come. I didn't shout or warn. I walked to the fence, ripped free a coil of thin livestock wire we kept for coyotes, and moved. Margaret was still lecturing when I looped the wire around her wrist and yanked. She screamed as it bit into her skin. I twisted, locked her elbow, and slammed it against the oak post. Crack. Her scream was raw, primal. "You broke my arm." I stared down. That hand hit my daughter. That arm struck a child. So yeah, I broke it. She crumpled, mascara smearing, blazer torn, heel scattered. Lily trembled in my arms, whispering, "Daddy, am I in trouble?" I pressed my forehead to hers. "No, baby. But she is." As I carried Lily to the porch, Margaret writhed in the dirt, clutching her phone with her good hand, sobbing into a 911 call. "He assaulted me. Broke my arm. There's a maniac and a child who doesn't belong here." I turned, staring from the top step. "You just started a war, lady. And I don't lose wars." She lay there, whimpering, but her eyes burned with rage, not pain, the rage of a woman used to losing. She was rewriting the story, painting herself as the victim, erasing her slap, Lily's blood, her trespassing. I had minutes before the sirens arrived, and if they saw me over a woman with a broken arm, I'd be the one in cuffs. I set Lily on the couch, her fingers clutching my shirt. "Daddy, will she take me away?" My heart cracked. "No one's taking you, sweetheart. Not her. Not anyone." I grabbed the remote and pulled up our security system 3 cameras. Porch, fence line, barn roof, all recording with audio. I scrubbed the footage. There it was, Margaret slapping Lily, dragging her by the collar, me stepping in, the wire, the brake. Clear as day. Self-defense, undeniable. I exported the clips, backed them up to 2 cloud servers, and a thumb drive. One copy went in my pocket, another in the fireproof box under the sink. In Texas, when you're a grieving father facing HOA royalty, you don't bet on mercy, you bet on proof. Sirens wailed as I stepped onto the porch. Margaret lifted her face from the dirt, lips curling into a smirk. "That's them," she whimpered, loud for the body cams. "Thank God. Get him away from me." What she didn't know was who she'd called. Deputy Tom Randall, Sarah's old college friend, our best man, the guy who held me when I collapsed at her funeral. His cruiser rolled up, and he stepped out, slow, deliberate. One look at my face, then at Margaret in the grass. "Jim," he said, "what happened?" Margaret jumped in. "He assaulted me." Snapped my arm. "The child's not registered. I want them gone." Tom looked at me. I handed him the thumb drive. "It's all there." She crossed my fence. "Get my daughter." Tom's hand closed around the drive. He turned to Margaret, who suddenly looked unsure. Tom wasn't just a Kofi was family. He knew what Sarah feared before she died. Margaret clutched a folder with her good arm. "The land's under HOA jurisdiction. Sarah Callahan signed it 2 years ago, page 28. She shoved it at Tom. I saw Sarah's name, her shaky signature. Something in me broke. "Don't you say her name," I snarled. "You don't get to drag a dying woman's signature into your land grab. She was on chemo, barely able to hold a spoon, and you pushed that contract on her when I wasn't home." Margaret scoffed. "Ignorance of consent doesn't make it invalid, Mr. Callahan. That's the law." I stepped closer, Tom's hand on my chest stopping me. "Then the law's about to meet the woman you stole from," I growled. "Sarah left evidence, and I'll find it." That night, Margaret's words haunted me. Ignorance doesn't make it invalid. If she'd manipulated a dying woman, what else could she do? The next morning, I packed Lily's snacks and her toy rabbit, walking her to the meadow's edge. "Remember, sweetheart," I whispered, "if you see anyone strange, hide by the oak and press the red button on your recorder, like a spy." She nodded, brave beyond her years, and trotted off, whispering to her rabbit. I fixed the fence, unaware Lily was already working. That afternoon, she ran back, panting. "Daddy, I got it." She handed me the recorder, her hands shaking. I played it. Margaret's voice, cold, businesslike, new shipment ready. 3 kids, ages 6 to 10. Dubai transfers, $500K each. Clean families, easy extraction. A man's voice, accented. Vans are prepped. No delays this time. Margaret laughed. "Good. I'm tired of weak parents. Illness makes them stupid." I nearly crushed the device. They were trafficking kids, targeting Sarah because she was sick, easy prey. "You did good, baby," I said, voice thick. "Now we burn them down." I didn't sleep. Margaret wasn't just cruel, she was a monster preying on the vulnerable. Lily had a target on her back. I called Tom at dawn. "Bring your badge and a hard drive." By noon, I had a plan. A micro camera under my denim shirt, a recorder in my boot, the Ember clip uploaded to 3 offsite servers. If I didn't enter a safety code every 4 hours, the files would hit media, law firms, and the FBI. Margaret's Community Finance Summit was that afternoon HOA code for blackmail and bribes. I walked into the Rosewood Clubhouse like I owned it. Margaret stood at the table's head, flanked by board members, folders labeled acquisition. She smirked. The grieving widower, crashing another meeting. I locked eyes. "I want to talk about Sarah and what you took from her." She sneered. If she didn't want to sign, she shouldn't have picked up the pen. Terminal doesn't mean stupid. I slammed the folder down. "You fed her morphine and lies, buried consent in legal sludge while she vomited blood. That's coercion, not a contract." Margaret leaned in, voice icy. "Your daughter's bedroom will be a storage unit for our wellness retreat." Cute, isn't it? I pressed the recorder's switch. "You should have walked away." She laughed. "From $500,000 in trafficking contracts? Please." I ripped the wire from my shirt. "Smile for the feds, Margaret. You're going viral." By sundown, the footage was everywhere: YouTube, Reddit, local news. Margaret's voice, her smug Dubai transfers, looped endlessly. Moms cried, dads raged, and the HOA's image crumbled. But Margaret doubled down, calling an emergency town hall. No cameras, doors locked. I walked in late, recorder in pocket. She stood at the podium, flanked by security goons. "You've been misled," she began, venomously. "The online clip is a deep fake, created by a delusional man." She pointed at me. "Mr. Callahan, care to confess?" I stepped forward. "No, Margaret, but I'll explain how you got caught bragging about selling kids in 4K, pearl earrings and all." She snapped her fingers. A guard moved. I didn't flinch. "Touch me, and your prints are on a federal whistleblower. My daughter's with the sheriff. My attorney's outside." The guard hesitated. The crowd stirred. "Is it true?" a woman shouted. "Why's the board silent?" Margaret screamed. "I built this place. I cleaned your parks, filed your taxes, and made it safe while you raised brats." A voice cut through old Mr. Ellis, the groundskeeper. You kicked an 8-year-old over a puddle, threw a rabbit in the trash. That's not leadership. That's cruelty. Margaret's mask shattered. She lunged at me, nails bared. I caught her wrist, twisted it behind her, and dragged her through the thorny roses she'd planted to punish kids. Her heel snapped, her pride obliterated. Sheriff Daniels arrived, cuffs ready. "Stand down, Jim," he said. I let go. Margaret crumpled, whimpering. They forged it. Mr. Ellis spat at the ground. "You hurt that girl. You deserve worse." Deputies hauled her into the cruiser as neighbors filmed. Margaret's mugshot hit the news by sunrise. By noon, her screams aired across networks. 30 families filed complaints, 9 board members quit, and the HOA faced federal investigation. But I wanted more for Sarah, for Lily's bruises, for the way Margaret screamed at my daughter like she wasn't human. The courtroom was packed, reporters cramming the back. Margaret sat, makeup thick, shame seeping through. Lily gripped my hand, trembling but strong. The judge's gavel fell. "We're here to determine if Margaret Hensley is guilty of aggravated child abuse, property damage, misconduct, and conspiracy to exploit minors." The prosecution played the audio Margaret's smug Dubai transfers. Then the playground footage. Her kick, Lily's rabbit in the trash. The room gasped. Her lawyer claimed deep fakes, but I stood, holding the rabbit. This was Lily's comfort, found in a dumpster, cracked, soaked in bleach. That bruise on her jaw? Margaret's temper. The jury took 40 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Margaret sobbed as cuffs clicked. Her pearl bracelet fell, rolling to my feet. I left it there. Lily looked up. "She's gone, Daddy?" I nodded. "Gone, baby. Forever." Back home, Lily slept peacefully, no nightmares, just soft light on her walls. I stood by the window, gazing at the neighborhood Margaret once ruled. It was quiet, free. Justice wasn't just Soviet, it was felt by every parent, every child who watched a tyrant fall. This isn't just a story of one woman's downfall. It's a reminder: no title, no blazer, no HOA badge lets you treat people as less. Grief isn't weakness. Love, when cornered, is unstoppable. Truth doesn't always roar. It's in a child's recorder, a broken rabbit, a father choosing proof over rage. When truth speaks, it doesn't just expose evil, it heals. We live in a world where Margarets still lurk, abusing power, targeting the vulnerable. But courage wins. An 8-year-old girl shone a light into her neighborhood's darkest corners and changed everything. If you've ever felt silenced or small, let this be your spark. One voice, one stand, can burn a rotten system down. What do you think? Was I right to break her arm to protect my daughter, or did I go too far? Have you seen someone abuse power and skate free? What would you have done? Share your thoughts below. I am reading everyone. Let's talk about justice, violence, and standing up to monsters. Your voice matters.